Jujutsu Kaisen has a decently sized cast of characters that have been introduced to the audience throughout its distribution in the West, with varying degrees of their input for their overall story. For example, the author Gege Akutami has a tendency to give us characters that will seemingly have a larger effect on the story, only for them to be cut short. The biggest example that I myself can think of is Yuki. Yuki was shown to us in a very brief flashback relating to Todo, our favorite brother, as well as a philosophical debate with Suguru Geto before he fully defected from Jujutsu Tech. Then she appears at the tail end of the Shibuya incident to save our main cast from a lethal attack from Uraume, and then she once again has a battle of philosophy with Suguru Geto, who we know at this point is Kenjaku. After this, Yuki ends up getting into a fight with Kenjaku near the end of the Culling games over the protection of Tengen's body, and yeah, we all know how that fight was received. While yes, I do believe that Yuki's potential when it comes to fights was slightly squandered, I still do think that we didn't get nearly enough of her interacting with our main cast members such as Yuta or even Todo. Real quick pause on this video. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. Are you looking for something fashionable and affordable to wear anime related these days? Are you looking for an anime inspired t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, or even like lights or anything of that nature? Well, boy, I tell you, head on over to animeexpressstore.com and oh yeah, they'll hook you up over there. I actually just copped one of these Megami t-shirts. This thing's actually fire. I'm actually so excited to get it. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a special announcement for y'all. Go ahead at your next checkout, hit code Daffy10 for 10% off your next purchase, man. Oh yeah, we sponsored now, so I can curse in this bitch. Yeah! Remember, Daffy10, DAFFY10 for 10% off on your next purchase, man. One of her pupils and someone who contributed to it forming his mindset when it comes to interacting with other sorcerers, and never mind the fact that she actually has been known to defect from Jujutsu Society to find her own way of peace in the world, and she hasn't been associated with Jujutsu Tech specifically in a fat minute, and we don't get to see her interact with presumably her only student she has ever taken. The only time we've ever seen her speak words to Todo is one page? Bro, come on now. Todo is a fan favorite with not nearly enough screen time, but now knowing what we know about Yuki, it really hurts even more. Even Gege's application of Kento Nanami has left a very bad taste in my mouth. Now here's the thing, it's kind of an unspoken rule that part of JJK's popularity is due to the sheer amount of women in the fandom going absolutely feral over the men in the series, particularly Gojo and Nanami. Dog, when that episode of Nanami dominating Haruta aired, I haven't seen so many thirst traps in broad daylight like that in all my days in the anime community. Like that shit activated more estrogen than a Valorant lobby. So with Nanami specifically, we had him initially for one arc, specifically the versus Mahito arc, an extremely brief showing of him in the Volume 0 movie where we actually get to see him and his Black Flash record. Nanami wasn't around for a super long amount of time, but I wouldn't say that he was a flat or nothing character. But I gotta be honest, when he died at the hands of Mahito, I was more so upset for Yuji rather than Nanami himself being dead. Nanami never felt as if he really had a strong relationship with Yuji, but more so he was a cool substitute teacher that he got along with as time went on. Honestly, when Yuji says that he will take on Nanami's share of suffering and they're shown walking together, I was a bit confused. Now I'm telling y'all, if Nanami didn't generate 2,000 thirst tweets every day, anime onlys wouldn't be pissing, shitting, and crying themselves to sleep like they were in their reactions. Like imagine if this was Inumaki or Panda that died at the hands of Mahito, you know what I mean? So those are two characters whose feelings I and many others have generally mixed feelings on with their potential in the Jujutsu Kaisen story, but today I want to confront a very hot topic as of recent and concerns one of the strongest sorcerers that was ever reincarnated in the modern age, Hajime Kashimo. When we are first introduced to Kashimo in chapter 158, we get a cold introduction to his character, and it is one of the coolest single pages in Jujutsu Kaisen, where we get to see Kashimo for the first time through a hole he just created through an unnamed sorcerer's chest. Immediately, we understand Kashimo's mindset and outlook within just 7 sentences. He describes how the sorcerers of his time were exponentially stronger, and he immediately wants the whereabouts of Sukuna. We immediately get a grasp on his hunger and thirst for a strong fight. This is pretty odd, but I feel like Kashimo is one of Gege's favorite characters to draw because Kashimo doesn't have any panels where he looks off model or drawn in a rush manner like a certain someone. Kashimo, as we know, has felt like he doesn't belong to society in a traditional sense. He felt that because of his immense power, he inherently looked at those weaker than him as insects or less than beings, because in his mind, power equates to your worth. The concept of love to him is totally different. For Kashimo, along with Sukuna, they both take the concept of love in the sense that you and I do and throw it to the wayside. Sukuna slaughtered hundreds of sorcerers that attempted to test their mettle against him, and for Kashimo, this is the biggest admiration men like them can give another sorcerer. For Sukuna specifically, his view of affection is having another being muster up the courage to raise a hand to him, knowing how strong he is, and continuing to go through with it. But if a being premeditates a fight with Sukuna, knowing how strong he is, that is one of the biggest signs of adoration he can show them. And if you manage to do something that catches his attention, such as being the strongest sorcerer of the modern day, or being one of the few special rig curses that has a maximum technique and would even have a prospect of landing damage on him, his verbal appraisal of your strength is the best thing you can hope for in this life. You may wonder why I'm diving specifically into Sukuna a bit here, but like my brother Yume said, call me Denzel Washington and hand me a ball of that liquor, cause I'm about to land the plane. I really just dated myself with that reference. I bet none of you know what that movie is. When Kashimo encounters Panda, we get a glimpse at his martial arts prowess and his technical ingenuity when it comes to his own curse energy manipulation. We understand immediately that Kashimo has an immaculate understanding of curse energy. He effortlessly defeats Panda here, even after Panda's big sister makes her first appearance in the series. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed how fast Panda's big sister was dealt with, because I love how scary and off-putting this Triceratops design is. I'm hoping Gege decides to have Panda and the other upperclassmen do something worth a damn besides Maki and Yuta, but at this point in the series, they're just too underpowered unless they're attempting to jump Sukuna like they are now. Kashimo nearly kills Panda before Hikari arrives, and we see that throughout their entire fight, Kashimo is ecstatic. Hikari is one of the most eccentric and confusing opponents Kashimo has faced since his heyday, and his joy is plastered all over his face throughout their entire fight. I will go into much more depth about this fight on a different video, but to semi-skim, this fight tells us every single thing we need to know about Kashimo if we needed it boiled down to the bare essentials. Kashimo, being confronted with this absolute behemoth of regeneration, initially thought in a matter of logic and started to form a plan to secure victory and analyze what his next step should be. But then my favorite moment from Kashimo comes, and he lets his true nature rise to the surface, and he thinks to himself, but that's how losers think. This shit is ridiculously raw. You may be unkillable, but I'll kill you anyway. But if you were to have Kashimo inside of the Baki universe, he would get crazy far, because this is the mindset that some of these dudes have. So we have a precedent on Kashimo's mentality and what his current objective is, so we have a general idea of his place in the story. We understand that he is only allied with the heroes to fulfill his objective of challenging Sukuna to a fight and giving him a satisfactory challenge, but if any of the heroes were to be in danger, he wouldn't really care. So fast forward to after Gojo and Sukuna's fight in the manga. Readers were subjected to 12 chapters of some of the hypest moments to hit the manga sphere in recent times. As chapter 236 was being leaked, readers were reeling from the reveal that Gojo had ultimately lost in his battle against Sukuna, and without missing a single beat, the god of lightning, Hajime Kashimo, was on the field. Man, people talk so much trash about this Gojo versus Sukuna fight, but this stretch of 5 months from Gojo being unsealed to now was a legendary run for Jujutsu Kaisen, man. It was hype after hype after hype with each passing chapter, and even when the most popular character in the manga was killed, the ball still kept its momentum. So going into this upcoming duel between Kashimo and Sukuna, expectations were all over the place. Speculation over what Kashimo's curse technique, and if Sukuna was even still in fighting shape after this momentous battle, similar questions were everywhere. So when the actual chapters came out, people were shocked to see that Kashimo lasted for only 2 chapters? We got to see Kashimo's technique, Mythical Beast Amber, after getting a couple of blows off on a still weakened Sukuna, which basically increased Kashimo's already insane speed and agility to a new level, and it transforms his body into essentially raw energy itself. Honestly, I dig the design for it, but my biggest complaint is that the form itself felt incomplete. There was no large-scale attack or anything that would have given the impression that if it would land, it would have done significant damage to a special grade sorcerer with this form. That by itself is the biggest issue for me considering Mythical Beast Amber, and with the fact that Kashimo doesn't have a domain expansion, which is a very cool and integral part of the power system, his overall kit did feel kind of weird to me. Now here's the thing, as soon as Sukuna went into his Heian era form, you and I both know that Kashimo was not making it out alive from this fight, nor was he going to do anything worth a damn to Sukuna here. This four-armed monstrosity was revered as a deity and referred to as a devastation or a calamity born upon the world. What the fuck did you think you were gonna do when you were struggling with a nigga who wasn't even special grade, bro? Come on. It wouldn't make sense narratively. The moment Gege wrote Sukuna reverting back to his prime form, he was put into a corner, specifically with the Kashino fight. If the fight were to go on for too long, it would seem as if Sukuna is weak or nerfing himself or something along the lines of us as the audience feeling underwhelmed. But if the fight was too short, then we run into the problem of Sukuna's strength being so overwhelming, our heroes pose little threat to him and Kashimo never stood a chance from jump, but we knew this already. So ultimately, I think that Gege made the right call here. Now, y'all can call me a Gege shill, but honestly, Gege was damned if he didn't and damned if he did. Honestly, the moment Sukuna transformed into this Heian era form, Kashimo was going to lose no matter what, and that was ultimately the point of his character.
Here's why I believe Kashimo is wasted. All characters are plot devices that serve a specific role in the story. From my deductions, Kashimo's narrative role was the sacrifice. He was created for the primary purpose of being killed off. Sacrifices are done well when they create an emotional response in the audience. Look at Junpei, Nanami, and Nobara. For me, Kashimo's death was emotionally empty, which defeats the purpose of his role in the story. If a writer creates a character to be killed off, the least they can do is make it emotional. And because he failed his role, I would classify him as wasted. Had his death been emotionally impactful, I wouldn't count him as wasted, because he's a role player, and his role was to have a good death.
Now I want you to ask yourself a question, and be real with me. Does Kashimo seem like a guy with a plan to you? From all the information I have gone over, we could all unanimously agree, no, he isn't. Kashimo is disturbingly similar to Sukuna in that he fought to satiate his own desires and hunger. Kashimo didn't care about actually beating Sukuna. He just wanted to see what challenge he could pose to the strongest sorcerer in all history. He had no stakes in the matter. He couldn't care less about the merger of Tengen and humanity. Hell, do you remember when Hikari first encounters Kashimo and he asked him if he could use his points after they were finished fighting? Kashimo responded with basically a, sure man, do whatever you want, I don't care. Kashimo essentially looked at this and thought to himself, if he lost to Hikari, then that is all he was worth, and that was the end of his journey then. If he lost to Hikari, he deserved it, plain and simple. And if we actually go forward and look a little bit, Sukuna in his battle with Yorozu exhibited a very similar mannerism. When Yorozu proposed the idea of marrying Sukuna after their fight and she would win, Sukuna responded and said that she could have whatever she could want, and he said this pretty passively. Sukuna is to the understanding that in the food chain, he is currently at the top, but if he doesn't keep his spot, then that is on nobody else but him. If he lost their fight, there isn't a whole bunch of crying or any excuses that need to be made. If he lost, he deserved it, and that's that. And that is eerily similar to Kashimo in his demeanor. So ultimately, I think that Kashimo served to fully sell to the audience what kind of danger the Sukuna poses to our band of heroes without their ace in the whole Satoru Gojo. While yes, I feel that I would have liked to see a bit more from Kashimo's power set, I feel that narratively, he served his purpose. I mean, Kashimo was satisfied in his death from how we saw that he was stunned by the sheer lethality and efficiency Sukuna's Heian era form possessed. People think that Kashimo was quote unquote glazing here, but no, he literally was like a little kid on Christmas Day. Can you imagine the heartbreak that Kashimo would have suffered had Sukuna not giving him the showing that he did? But no, Sukuna proved to Kashimo that he wasn't alone in his worldview, and Sukuna once again had to remind the audience once again who the top dog of the Jujutsu world is. We start seeing these revolving themes around the concept of love with characters like Yuta or Maki and Mai, and how Mai's love for her sister manifested in the dragon bone katana that she now wields, and all these different things. And Sukuna in his interaction with Hikari basically told him love is worthless. How I view that, depending on another person, that's nothing but weakness to me. I've always depended on myself and nobody else, right? Obviously we know that, you know, Arame is there, but that's to serve Sukuna's interest, but Arame is comfortable with that. Arame doesn't care. So honestly, narratively, I could definitely see some, I don't know, a mega love beam or something happening at the end of the story. I would hope not, but it's just very interesting. So I do think that Kashimo served his purpose, narratively speaking. I don't think he was wasted. I think that his power set was a little weird. I would have liked to see more. I definitely think that his power set was a little wasted, because I definitely feel like he did way more damage on Hikari than he did to Sukuna, and Sukuna was weakened before he went to his prime form. So I don't know, but that's just me, man. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys feel that Kashimo was wasted in the Jujutsu Kaisen story? Let me know, I'm curious. Anyway guys, me your boy Daffy, thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. Make sure you leave a like in the video, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Now make sure you take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Peace.